Welcome back to the renovation series. It's been a hectic few weeks and pretty stressful at times. I'm going to tell you all about it, but first off, let's rewind to where we left off the last video about 3 weeks ago. So I just finished prepping this room, filling all the cracks, removing the skirting boards, and generally just trying to get it ready for paint. I thought my builders were going to be coming around the next week to remove the structural wall, but they sort of changed their minds and said that it would be any time from Monday. So I was like, okay, you're definitely not coming on Monday. I then get a text from my heating engineers. Bearing in mind, I've waited 3 months for my builder and I've waited 3 months for the heating engineers. I get a text from the heating engineer saying we can come around on Monday, do the whole thing, like the whole system, boiler, put in the radiators, the whole shebang. I was like, okay, perfect. The builders aren't coming, so let's get the heating done. Then Saturday night, bearing in mind I'm on holiday at this point for the weekend with my mates, and I get a text from my builder saying we're starting on Monday, blah, 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 blah. And I was like, no, I can't have both of these groups in my house at the same time because the work that they both need to do is in exactly the same spot. So it would have been impossible for them to be in there at the same time. So I replied saying like, the heating engineers are coming on Monday now because you said you weren't going to come. And he was basically like, too late. I've ordered all the materials. We're arriving on Monday. And I was like, fantastic. So contact the heating engineers, but it was Saturday night, so obviously they're not going to reply. So I spent the whole of Sunday just really stressed that both of these teams of people were going to arrive on the Monday. Monday rolls around, fine. Like I get a reply from the heating engineer saying it's fine, we'll just postpone it by a week. So that was good news. So that's kind of where the stress started. And then the builders came around on Monday to do two things. The first thing they were going to do was put gallows brackets in the loft, which is basically a bracket that you put underneath the chimney breast to hold the chimney stack up. So you've got the main chimney part that comes out the roof, and I want to remove the chimney breast from this ceiling height here to this floor height on the first floor in order to make the bathroom bigger, because currently the chimney breast is in the bathroom. So what you do is you remove a course of bricks, you put these brackets in with these big concrete bolts and resin into the party wall between the two houses, and that holds the chimney stack up, and then you can remove the bricks below it without having to faff around removing the whole chimney and re-roofing and things like that. So two of the building team go up into the loft and they don't have a light or anything, they're just using an iPhone torch. And I'm in here trying to sand down my shoddy plastering, and you can hear everything in the house, like every conversation, every noise, you can hear it all. For the next like half an hour, it just sounds like they're destroying my house. Like as expected, they're literally like, they're removing the chimney bit below. So it's just a lot of drilling, banging, and it's quite stressful just listening to builders just smash stuff up. So I'm in here trying to get things done, but really I was just listening to everything they were saying and doing. Then I hear I think he had like his apprentice, so he was like teaching him how he was doing it. And I hear, oh mate, that's absolutely perfect. That's spot on. Like that couldn't be any better. And I was like, perfect. That's what you want to hear. Like this is like relatively big structural work on the house. And like if things go wrong, it could have pretty bad consequences. So that was really reassuring. And then 2 minutes later, I'm like carrying on with my sanding and you just hear like, fuck, oh shit, fuck. We've totally fucked it. We can't put it there. Like all this just like effing and jeffing. And I just couldn't listen to it. So I was just like, right, I'm just going to leave. Like I just went for a walk because listening to builders just swear and say that things are going really wrong is just not a good way to spend your Monday morning. So I left. I came back and they were downstairs and they were like, oh yeah, it's all done upstairs. It's absolutely fine. So, it was all fixed and it's fine. It's just like listening to builders when they're like talking to each other. It just sounds like things are going really wrong when they're not. But that was pretty stressful. So with the gallows brackets done, it was time for them to move on to the structural wall removal and putting this big steel beam in, which was terrifying to say the least. Like the idea, well, the way they do it is they basically prop your house up with these 4 metal poles that are called acros. They basically crank these things up so that they take the weight of the whole of the rear of my house, so it's not on that wall, and then they can remove the wall underneath. But watching them do it and the thought that my house is being propped up by like 4 pieces of scaffolding is terrifying. So on the Monday they were doing all this prep work, putting in these big metal poles to hold things up, And I'm just sat in here, just like an absolute ball of stress. Like, don't really want to go in and like look at it, but also just freaking out that my house is going to fall down. Then I just hear one of them say like, I don't know how the fuck we're going to get this steel in. And he just said it like 4 times. And I was just like, this is the worst day ever. So I went in and I was like, how's it going? And he was like, oh yeah, it's all going good. And I was like, it doesn't sound like it's going great. He just said, they don't know how they're going to get the steel around the metal poles because like obviously you can't move them once they're in and you need to like navigate it and stuff like that. So he wasn't actually like, the thing is, it sounds like stuff's going really wrong, but they just swear a lot basically and just chat a lot of shit. So then the next day they go to put the steel in and they basically had to remove half of the roof in the extension, take the steel outside and then bring it in over the wall and through the roof and then like sort of jimmy it in. This scene was just insane. Like, so there's like 6 of them trying to get it in, blah, blah, blah. They basically got it sort of in and like wedged near enough that like they sent 2 of them off to another job because they just needed to like navigate it in now. And basically the whole of the floor is covered in rubble from like where they've pulled bricks out of the wall and everything. And they're all like balancing on step ladders, like sat on step ladders, like trying to move this steel beam. And it was just like horrible. At this point, I'm just watching the whole thing as well. I was like, I have to see this happen. And then they got kind of wedged and I said like, oh, if you get a bit of wood under that bit, you could probably lift it. But I'm not a builder. And the guy just turns around to me and goes, neither am I. And I was like, what the f are you doing then? Turns out he's more of a roofer and into windows. So I hope my house doesn't fall down. Anyway, that was just like crazy stressful. Once that was all in, the stress kind of died down a bit. Like once the steel's in and it's packed up and they remove those metal poles, it's like, okay, it's not going to fall down now. But then we had super heavy rain that week. And if you notice up in that corner, it looks pretty wet. I just had water. This streamed all the way down to the floor and there was just water coming in and in that corner. And I was like, if you've watched the other videos, you'll know that I paid a lot of money for a new roof a few months ago. So I was not best pleased and it did not help the stress. So I called my roofer and he came over and basically said, it's nothing to do with his roof, like the roof's fine. And I was like, oh. So I asked the guy that was doing the structural wall, as apparently he's a roofer, to go and have a look. And he said, to be fair, like everything the guy's done is good, but the water is coming in through the parapet walls, like the wall that sticks up between each house has coping stones on the top of it. And the water was coming through the wall. You could see it like trickling like between the bricks and loads of water was coming in. I think basically the cement between the coping stones is like perished. And I think there's water getting in between those stones and then running down the wall and then coming into the loft and then obviously coming into my freshly plastered bedroom. So I now have scaffolding again, which is brilliant because I had to pay 350 quid for more scaffolding because the only way you can go and look at it really is with scaffolding. So hopefully I'm going to get it fixed in the next week, but that was very stressful. And then to top it all off, it's Friday afternoon at this point and I was just done with the week. Like it was super stressful and I just wanted to go to the pub and see the boys. Driving to the pub, about 5 minutes away, and the gear stick in my van just completely detaches, not connected to anything, just completely flaccid, completely loose. And then I just spent the next 5 hours in the pub with the boys, getting drunk, waiting for the AA to arrive, who then towed me home. So that's how that week went, but I'll show you what everything's looking like now. So obviously the wall's gone and the steel's in, and it looks pretty terrifying at the moment, but this space feels so much bigger. It feels like it always should have been like this. Like it feels like the doorway was really weird and it feels like completely natural and it feels like it's always been like this. We ended up having about a 10 centimeter wall coming away from this for reasons that I don't really understand, but it's fine by me. The next thing these guys are doing is they're coming pretty soon to redo the whole of the roof in here. So a whole new roof structure, felt, battens, tiles. So I've got all the materials here already and they're going to come around soon and do that. I'm getting a skylight put in as well, which is pretty sweet. So you'll get even more light in here. And I mean, if I'm paying so much money for a new roof, I might as well pay an extra 500 quid for a skylight just to make it look sick. Currently though, it's absolutely freezing in here because there's a massive hole that just has a tarpaulin, which is where they took that steel in through the roof. So they've just patched up with some tarpaulin, which to be honest is more waterproof than it was before, but it is cold. The kitchen's been off limits for about 3 weeks now, and I had to move everything that was in there into the living room, which was already my dumping ground for everything else. So it's complete chaos in here at the moment, which means it's pretty much impossible to cook any sort of healthy meal. Luckily, Levels sent me their Foundation Plus food supplement, which contains 20 essential nutrients to help get you through the day. It's designed by tradespeople for tradespeople or anybody looking for that extra boost throughout the day. I've been taking these for a few weeks now, and they've definitely helped me get out of bed during these dark mornings and powered me through the afternoons when it's getting dark at about 2:30. There's a promo code on the screen now and a link down below for 20% off your first order. It's an affiliate link, so it doesn't cost you anything extra, but it would really help out the channel. So if you're looking to start taking a multivitamin, especially over these cold winter months, try Levels Foundation Plus. Now, back to the video. Now, you may have noticed in some of these shots, I've got some new radiators. So as I said, the heating engine is delayed by a week, and they came round and they've done my whole heating system, new combi boiler, new radiators, plumbed through the whole house, removed the old water tanks. It's pretty sweet. This happened last week, and if you're in the UK, you know that the temperature dropped so quickly, and it was that week that they started doing it. So Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, I was just sat in my office with a hot water bottle, freezing, because obviously all the doors are open as well because they're coming in and out. And then Wednesday evening, they told me that the heating was on, and it was such a nice feeling. Like, it's the first time I've had hot water in this house at any point. So having a hot shower and having radiators was so nice, and it literally couldn't have come at a better time. Some of the radiators throughout the house are these big column radiators. I've been sort of slowly picking them up on Facebook Marketplace. New, this one is 1.7 grand from some fancy London boutique radiator place, and I got it for 150 quid brand new from Facebook Marketplace. It's a bit dusty obviously, but it's pretty sweet. I got some more column radiators in the bedrooms just because they look so much nicer than regular radiators. So this is the new boiler, and I actually got this whole heating system and installation completely for free. The council are running a scheme where I live called the Eco 4 scheme, and it's basically to take really poorly insulated and heated homes from really low EPC ratings, and they have to bring them up. So mine was an E, and the boiler was like ancient, like it was a back boiler. I never turned it on, but it was super old. And because I earn under a certain salary threshold, I could basically get the whole system for free. And I also got loft insulation for free. So they basically came around and did a survey and said what needed to be done. And basically, yeah, I didn't pay a penny, and they did it in like 3 days. So I'm pretty happy with it, to be honest. Because I didn't budget for this roof being replaced, and that's like an extra £6,000, this really helped out, because I'd budgeted to get a whole new heating system, but I was trying to find ways of like clawing back money from the budget basically, and found this scheme, and that's kind of evened it out a bit, which is great. And it meant that I didn't have to do anything. They did all of it. While all this big work was going on, it was quite difficult for me to get anything done personally because I would have just been in the way, but I did manage to start a few projects. I hacked off a lot of the damp plaster downstairs to let the bricks breathe and dry out. I spoke to my plasterer about the best way to deal with this, and he basically taught me through the method that he uses, which is applying some tanking to the bricks and then using a sand and cement mix with a water repellent additive, letting that dry and then putting multi-finish over the top, and apparently he never has any issues with that, so hopefully that works. The heating engineers had removed the hot water cylinder from the cupboard in the master bedroom, and my plan with this is to turn it into a sort of built-in wardrobe. So I started removing the wallpaper, but quite quickly realised that the walls were just crumbling, so I thought it'd be best to remove the walls and all the plaster, and then plasterboard over it to get a better finish. If you're enjoying the content, then please hit the subscribe button. It's completely free and it really helps the channel out, and it motivates me more to make better videos for you guys. Now that I've plasterboarded the whole of the inside of this cupboard, I'm going to be using some jointing compound to cover all the gaps and the screw holes and hopefully make it look like a little finished room. I thought that'd be easier than plastering it because I'm not very good at plastering. So let's see how it goes. My main focus before Christmas is to get both bedrooms completely finished. I've told people they can come and stay before Christmas, so I really need to get these spaces livable before they arrive. The main thing I have to do in these bedrooms is sand the floors, which means I need to get the floorboards ready because there's holes in different little places and they just need to be patched up so that I can get a floor sander in and get these floors looking nice. Oh, not bad. Not bad at all. The next job I had to do was nail down all the floorboards. I used these Brad cut nails, I think, basically the ones that look nice in old floorboards. This took forever. I had to do about 400 nails. Obviously, a lot of them ended up bending and there's always complications. I can now feel my heartbeat in my thumb from how many times I've smacked the hammer on it as well. I also went round and pulled all the old nails, the small ones from where the subfloor had been attached to the floorboards previously. This was pretty time consuming as well, but I ended up just smacking a lot of them into the wood because it was way quicker. I'm going to be using one of those big industrial floor sanders, and you need to make sure all of the nails are recessed below the height of the floorboards so that they don't catch on the sanding belt. So I went round with a hole punch and made sure all of the nails were at least 1 or 2 millimeters below the height of the floorboard. Thanks for watching this week's video. I'm thinking about doing a Q&A around Christmas time. If anybody's got any questions about the project, about the channel, anything to do with that, then drop them in the comments below and I'll answer them at some point. Tune in next week to see me sand the floors in the master bedroom and maybe even paint it, who knows. Bye for now.